Analysts at Meristem Securities expect the equities market to remain mixed with a positive tilt. Victory George, investment research analyst at Meristem Securities, joins me now for a weekly wrap of trading at the stock market. Victory, thank you for taking the time out to join us today.
Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Well, it's been a week of lackluster trading at the stock market this week, with investors pretty much sitting on the sidelines following the release of, I suppose, most of the Q3 numbers, particularly the banks. So at a time like this, conversations are always focused around what could potentially be the next catalyst for the market to get investors back into the game. What are your thoughts?
Since the release of the earnings performance across different sectors, we've seen investors trade on a mixed note because of the varying performance that we've seen across different industries. But so far this week, the performance of the market has been broadly positive. Like we saw the market closing in the green zone week on week. Even though we saw that on the first trading day of the week, there was more of the profit-taking activities, especially on board cements, which dragged the market down. But going into the week, further into the week, we saw more of buying activities. Investors, have really been on the first, trying to trade cautiously and take positions on stocks that, with very strong fundamentals and pose attractive entry points. However, the profit-taking activities that we've seen really gleaning from the performance, across some sectors that didn't do so well, in the 9M. That's what has really been pushing the market on the mixed notes. But generally, the market has really been more of the positive side.
All right, so walk us through maybe one or two names, this week's biggest winners and losers.
This week we've seen MTN, moving the market on the positive side, and we've seen board cement, also dragging the market down, also moving the market, on the negative side on Monday.
I know the investors are watching macroeconomic events, particularly reforms in the FX markets. We just had data out from the MBS talking about inflation for the month of October. That printed higher, both the headline inflation, core inflation, and particularly food inflation. How are investors processing the macroeconomic data, and also perhaps how this is boosting or not when it comes to confidence at the market?
Well, the inflation figures that we saw, inflation moving up to 27.33%, it was nothing short of our expectations, or was nothing short of investors' expectations. So we expect that investors must have priced in this uptick in inflation, and so the impact on this or the market might be really minimal. Seeing that investors must have already braced up for this uptick in inflation, as the drivers of Nigeria's inflation still remain inherent in our market. So we're expecting the impact of this not to be so glaring on investors' confidence. However, on the larger scale, barring any shocker from the corporate scene, or giving the MPC scene next week, barring any surprises, we still expect investors' confidence to remain intact and the market to remain broadly positive.
All right, let's quickly talk about your outlook for trading in the coming week and stocks that you will be watching. What is your outlook for the coming week?
In the coming week, like I mentioned, I expect the market to still be broadly positive. However, I'm not ruling out profit-taking activities, on tickers that have gained significantly. So we might see some profit-taking activities. But on the larger scale, like I mentioned, barring any surprises from the MPC meeting next week, I expect the market to still be positive. Tickers that we're looking out for, we'll be looking at some tickers across the banking sector, and also telecoms like MTN. On the banking sector, we're looking at GTCO as attractive entry points for investors to take position on, especially for short-term gains at this point.
Final, I just wanted to squeeze one more question in. Talk to us about what is your position on the consumer goods? Are you holding a buy, sell, or are you neutral on consumer goods?
Well, for the consumer goods, the sentiment is still very mixed. Looking at the performance we saw from 9M with most of the consumer goods players recording not so good results based on the significant losses from FX. Well, while the sentiment is still mixed, we still expect investors to trade cautiously on consumer goods tickers, especially the ones that have gained significantly. But the outlook for the consumer goods sector is still positive. Despite this. Yeah, despite this performance we saw in the 9M, the outlook is still broadly positive.
Victory, I must thank you for your time. Thank you for walking us through market performance this week. Appreciate your time on the show today. Victory George, Investment Research Analyst at Meristem Securities.